Hey there, everybody. I'm Kelly. I'm back, Plano Parks and Recreation, a community outreach specialist here, and I am with Katie Masuki, and she is with Live Green in Plano. Hey, Katie.
Hey Kelly, how are you?
Good. How are you? Where are you at?
Great. Thank you. I am at Bob Woodruff Park. See the beautiful lake behind me?
I love it. It looks great.
It's
And
a
I'm
perfect
at
day.
Point Park and Nature Preserve. It's a beautiful.
Lovely.
Well, thanks for being with us. I invited Katie here because, as you may know, if you don't know, you can go back and look at the video on our Facebook page. But last week, I was talking to Matt Harned in our Parks Division, and we were talking about our city's irrigation system and how we are able to incorporate various water conservation methods into our system so that we can balance conservation and need. And I wanted to talk to Katie. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the resident side of things and what residents need to know when it comes to water conservation right in their backyard. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about your responsibilities as tell us your title one more time.
Sure. I'm a senior environmental education coordinator for something called the SEED division. That's Sustainability and Environmental Education Division. And our team's responsibilities are to design, implement, and evaluate all sustainability and environmental stewardship related programs in our city. My particular focus is on all things water, both water conservation, efficiency, and quality.
As you can see, us being near bodies of water, that makes sense. Well, good. I thought you would be the right person to talk to. So let's just go ahead and get started. I just have a few questions for you. So tell us, why is it important for residents to understand how water as a resource is used, not just in Plano, but in the North Texas region as a whole?
Certainly. Well, water is our most precious shared resource. It's something that we're very fortunate in the last few years, really since the latter half of 2015. We've had plentiful amounts, we've had above average rainfall. But if you've lived in North Texas for any amount of time, you know how very quickly that can change. And those unpredictabilities with the climate make it very difficult to tell when we're going to enter some severe drought stages. So as a matter of practice, it's really good for our residents to make sure that they're good stewards of our water, making sure that, say, when they're landscaping or using their sprinklers, that a large proportion of their clean treated drinking water that they buy isn't simply running down the street or evaporating. So in the spring and summer, outdoor water use is one of the biggest contributors to our per capita and citywide water use. And very unfortunately, so much of that water simply goes right down the storm drain. So having really good landscaping practices can help us be excellent stewards of our precious water.
Yes, and I am actually, I feel like it's a little selfish that I invited you, but it's not, because I think if I'm thinking about these things, certainly other people are as well. And so for myself, I know a lot of other people have some projects going on right now in their yard and have some questions for you. So what are some ways that we can incorporate some water conservation methods into our backyard prep this spring and then going into the summer?
All right. Well, the first thing you want to do, especially as spring arrives, is give your sprinklers their spring spruce up. Say that 5 times fast. So you'll want to manually walk through your yard and run those sprinklers for just a very brief amount of time, as long as it takes for you to walk through each zone and flag or mark any sprinkler heads that aren't performing correctly. That can include any geysers, sprinkler heads that are just broken, missing, or misaligned. So by simply doing that walkthrough, you might spot a serious problem that can save you some great money when fixed. For example, a single broken sprinkler head can waste 25,000 gallons of water in an irrigation season or a summer. And of course, that costs you money. So your little spruce up can be huge for both water and money savings.
Okay.
But while you're doing that, it's also really important to go to the controller and make sure that it's performing correctly. Irrigation controllers can be adversely affected by power surges. Say if you've had a storm or maybe you lost power during our severe winter weather in February. Just like your microwave or other appliances, sometimes they need to be reset.
Okay.
So do ensure that your controller displays the correct date and time. That way, when you've set it to water, it will actually water at the correct time and not some,
Mm.
random day and time. You will also want to change the backup battery in your controller. Some folks don't even realize that it has a backup battery. And all that being said, you want to start your irrigation season knowing that irrigation supplements rainfall and not the other way around. Sometimes folks will see our seasonal watering guidelines that say twice per week watering during the spring and summer, and they'll assume that you need to water on those
Like that's the
days.
minimum that you need to be watering. Okay. Like,
Well, really, that's the maximum that we need to be watering.
right.
uh, most
Your eyes kind of bugged out when
Interestingly, during most weeks, even through the heat of summer, once per week watering is plenty. We just want to be mindful of the weather conditions and turn those sprinklers off if we've received plenty of rain for that week. But as long as we're using the right plants in the right places, then you won't need to apply that much supplemental water.
yes, the landscaping is key. Now, you mentioned something to me earlier about different kinds of landscaping, so to speak. I love try to use the term green infrastructure as a way to describe it. Well, what are some ways, like myself, I'm planning out and trying to do some xeriscaping in my yard, but I also want to incorporate some grasses and that sort of thing. So what are some rules of thumb that you might want to share with people who are trying to lay out their yard and how they want to utilize it and get the best out of
Sure.
it?
That's a great
Great
question. And
question.
I wish you luck with your yard overhaul. I can't wait to see it. You'll have to
Yes,
send me some pictures
I
when
will.
you're good.
I will.
Well,
Thank you.
you're welcome. The main thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to go too heavy on one type of hardscape or landscape. And what I mean by that is we want to try to aim for something called the rule of thirds, where we have, say, a third turf, a third hardscape, and a third of designated landscape beds for plants other than turf.
Okay.
Now, one thing to keep in mind is that turf is very thirsty. And when people think they really need to keep their sprinklers running, a lot of the times it's because they want to keep turf alive. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes turf that's not really conducive to our hot summer weather.
Mm-hmm.
So, reducing your turf is a great way to save water. And in those landscape beds, use native and adapted plants that are well suited to the North Texas region. And then
Mm-hmm.
for hardscape, one of my favorite ideas is creative reuse. We once featured a landscape on our landscape tour that we host each fall, where the homeowner used all collected bricks, antique vintage bricks that he collected from all over Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and made these gorgeous patios and pathways using those bricks.
Oh, wow.
Um, and with the
Creative.
hardscaping, it's important that it's pervious so that water can seep through.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. I'm trying, sorry, I'm thinking of, let me get back to the interview at hand. I'm looking out of my backyard like, okay, okay. All right, great. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to get at, because I think another thing that people are thinking is, oh, well, that sounds great. All that sounds great. I can totally do that. But how can I do it without breaking the bank? You had mentioned that the reusing of materials. What are some other maybe creative, cost-effective ways that we can, again, get the most out of our water and our property?
Sure. Well, those native and adapted plants, many of them come back year after year, and they're also beautiful. They do have a lot of seasonal color. So, over time, you'll realize once you incorporate more native and adapted plants that you're not having to buy those annual colors season after season. You have something beautiful and hardy that comes back time after
Native
time.
grasses
So,
are great for that. I've found the native grasses. I have some blue stems in the back
good.
that are
Good.
really, and I think those would be really great at tackling the runoff that I'm dealing with right now. So
Oh, I hope so.
yeah, the importance of that, because I don't want to keep going back to Lowe's or back to wherever, get my plants. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yes.
Native plants, that's good.
Another thing that I would suggest is to try to capture as much water as you can. And right now, the city of Plano has an ongoing rain barrel and compost bin sale. It's an online sale, and we'll be having our pickup of that pre-ordered merchandise on May 22nd. So the website where you would go to order the merchandise is, let's see, rainbarrelprogram.org/Plano. And I'm sure we'll put that in the comments for people to visit.
Yes, we will. We most certainly will. And yes, any of the links that we have, we'll be popping into the comment section for people to refer to afterwards. So great.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question. How can, we hear people are listening, and that sounds really great. Where can people go to get a little bit more information and to find out more about all the things that Live Green in Plano has to offer?
Sure. Well, we do have a website that's a great springboard for all of our different programs. That's livegreeninplano.com. You could also visit plano.gov/seed programs, and that'll direct you straight to our menu of upcoming classes. Many of those will be virtual. We do have a number of webinars that are upcoming, but soon we'll be switching back to some in-person programming. And I do have a combination of both virtual and in-person irrigation education that's upcoming in May, June, and July. So if you want to learn about how to install DIY drip irrigation systems, for example, I even have a webinar that's upcoming for that.
Well, we are so excited, and I'm definitely going to mark my calendars and sign up for some of your webinars, Katie. I'm so excited. And I'm so grateful that we are able to provide this kind of information directly to our residents. It's very important, and I know they want to play their part in helping us collectively conserve and use our water wisely. So
we really appreciate that, and we're here for them. We also have a Garden Green in Plano virtual fair coming up on May 1st. So if you're new to Plano or new to North Texas or just new to gardening, that's a great place to start to get some region-specific guidance on how to pick the right plant for the right place, how to water efficiently and effectively, and so on.
And there's something about finding the right plant and the right when the pieces start to fit, there's just such a great feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
So we're grateful to have you helping us and leading us along the way, Katie.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kelly.
All right, well, we'll be in touch, and yes, check out the links below, everybody. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Katie over in Live Green in Plano, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.